If there were a prize for the most disappointing $95 million signing in history, this guy would win it without question. When Manchester United sealed the deal for Antony in 2022, sending a hefty $95 million fee to Ajax, expectations were sky high. However, it's safe to say the move has been a major letdown. So, what exactly went wrong with Antony, and how has he fallen so far that he's now a meme even when he's not on the pitch? What makes it even more puzzling is that he made an immediate impact by scoring on his debut. But somehow, things quickly took a turn for the worse, leaving fans wondering how a signing with so much promise has unraveled so drastically. Manchester United had high hopes for Antony when they signed him, expecting him to bring the same spark he showed at Ajax. Despite Ajax's Champions League campaign ending in the round of 16, Antony delivered a solid performance, contributing 2 goals and 4 assists in just 7 appearances. A more than respectable output on Europe's biggest stage. At just 22 years old, Antony was already regarded as a rising star with immense potential. Several clubs were eyeing him as a potential signing in the upcoming transfer window, but everything changed when Manchester United made their move. The club appointed Erik ten Hag as their new head coach, and he was eager to instill his playing philosophy at Old Trafford. It was almost as if Ten Hag was trying to recreate a mini Ajax at United. He had already secured Lisandro Martinez from his former club, and his next priority was Antony, and he got his man. Things couldn't have started any better. As we've shown earlier, Antony marked his debut with a goal, making it seem like he had Old Trafford at his feet. Fast forward to today, and we're talking about a player who managed just 1 Premier League goal last season. So, where did it all go wrong? First, we have to address the price tag. There's no way he was worth $95 million. He isn't even worth half of that. The wildest part? Both he and Ajax were well aware of this. Initially, negotiations between United and Ajax stalled. Ten Hag was adamant about signing Antony at any cost, which led to some questionable decisions from the club. United even offloaded Anthony Elanga to Nottingham Forest just to create space for Antony's arrival. For context, Elanga ended last season with 14 goal contributions in the league for Forest. Antony, just 1 goal and 1 assist. After freeing up space, United initially walked away from the deal, only to return later. Reports suggested they were willing to pay around $30 million, while Ajax wanted double that. But seeing United's desperation, Ajax hiked the price to $95 million. The shocking part? United actually paid it. So how has Antony performed since? In his first season, there were glimpses of why United spent so much on him, but consistency has been a major issue, leaving fans questioning whether he'll ever justify his price tag. Antony had his moments, his stunning goal against Barcelona and an impressive start to his Premier League career, scoring in his first 3 games after finding the net against Liverpool, Manchester City, and Everton. At that point, the transfer seemed to be paying off, hinting at a bright future. But what followed can only be described as inconsistency. After his initial 3 goals, it took him another 15 league matches to register his next goal contribution. For a winger, those numbers are concerning. At the time, many were willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, arguing that he was still adjusting to the Premier League and warming up to the pace of English football. This meant the 2023-24 season was supposed to be his breakout year, the season where he justified his hefty price tag. Instead, things got even worse. Across 29 Premier League appearances, he started 15 times and came off the bench in 14, accumulating a total of 1,324 minutes. His output? 1 goal and 1 assist. Reading that in the context of his $95 million transfer fee is almost painful. He was averaging a goal contribution every 662 minutes, an extremely underwhelming return. United didn't feel his lack of end product as much in the 2022-23 season, thanks to Marcus Rashford's incredible form, where he scored over 30 goals. But in the following campaign, when United's attack struggled for output, A player with Antony's price tag was expected to step up. Instead, he delivered just 1 goal and 1 assist in the league. You might excuse this if he were contributing in other ways, being creative, making key passes, or playing a vital role in build-up play, but he wasn't. Over his 2 seasons at United, 2022-23 and 2023-24, he averaged just 1.4 and 1.5 key passes per 90 minutes, an alarmingly low number. For comparison, his teammate Bruno Fernandes averaged 4.3 key passes per 90. At this point, Antony's struggles went beyond just lacking end product. He wasn't impacting the game in any meaningful way. It got to the stage where every time he played, it felt like he was just out there doing cardio. All that hype and anticipation, for what? At first, it seemed like he just needed a confidence boost, but trust me, it only goes downhill from here. That infamous look on his face, it was as if he thought he was a Marvel superhero coming in to change the game. But as soon as that expression dropped, he was getting roasted online non-stop, and it doesn't stop there. Perhaps the most cringeworthy moment for Antony came at Wembley during the FA Cup semi-final between United and Coventry City. United had a comfortable 3-0 lead, but somehow managed to blow it, allowing Coventry to equalize and force the game into penalties. United eventually won in the shootout, but the embarrassment of squandering that lead to a championship side was hard to ignore. The players knew there was nothing worth celebrating, yet there was Antony, cupping his ears after such a disastrous collapse. The whole thing felt utterly disgraceful. This was particularly disappointing given the hype surrounding him before his move to United. Highlight reels full of dazzling skills and tricks made it seem like United had secured the complete package. But that hasn't been the case. When it comes to dribbling, despite showcasing some moves like this on match days, Antony doesn't come close to being one of the Premier League's top dribblers, or even among the best in the top European leagues. At Ajax, he averaged 2.2 dribbles per 90 minutes, but at United, his first season saw just 1.5 and 1.8 in his second, and this season in the Premier League, just 1 completed dribble so far. Off the pitch, things haven't been much better. Reports emerged that he was involved in an alleged assault on his partner, facing potential jail time if the claims were proven true. He even had to attend an interview with Greater Manchester Police to clear his name. So, now that we've seen where it's all gone wrong, can Antony turn things around? Honestly, it doesn't seem likely at this point. For someone who claims to want to win trophies, Antony needs to realize just how much effort that requires. Just by watching him play, it's clear that there are noticeable flaws in his game. He's arguably one of the most one-dimensional players in the league. It's almost like opposing fullbacks don't even try that hard against him because they know exactly what he's going to do. Get the ball, cut inside onto his left foot, and try a shot for the top corner. But it's not working, and he hasn't been able to evolve or change his approach. Right now, his impact at the club has been more negative than positive. In fact, it feels like every transfer window, there's new speculation about him moving away from United. It's wild to think that just 2 years ago he was playing at the World Cup. It's even crazier to think that Antony made Brazil's World Cup squad, considering he was performing well at the time and looked like a real prospect. However, since then, he's only continued to decline and hasn't done anything to justify even half of the hefty price United paid for him. But despite all of this, it seems there's still a player in there somewhere. He did score in the 7-0 win over Barnsley, and to be fair, he put in a decent performance in that match. Perhaps that game illustrates the issue. Maybe we're dealing with the wrong player at the wrong time at United. It's clear from watching him now that he isn't worth that price tag, or even half of it. However, based on what he showed at Ajax, it's possible he could have thrived at a different club or stayed at Ajax and become one of their key players. Goals against Barnsley and Newport County and solid performances against Reading all point to the fact that Antony could be a decent player in a league less physically demanding than the Premier League. He could have succeeded elsewhere, but not at United. On his part, though, the player clearly wants to succeed. Antony often speaks fondly about his desire to join United. and perhaps that's another sign of why his performances have been disappointing. Maybe he was never really the player he thought he was, when you think about it. Over the years, the Premier League, and Manchester United in particular, have seen several players come from the Dutch Eredivisie and fail to live up to expectations, such as Memphis Depay, Daley Blind, and now Antony. It's just another name on the list of transfers that didn't quite work out at the club. Given his current form, Antony will struggle for game time this season. With players like Amad Diallo and Alejandro Garnacho showing form, Antony's best chance of staying in the squad may be as a substitute. With Erik ten Hag gone and Ruben Amorim now in charge, what does this mean for Antony? There were times last season when he wasn't performing well, yet Ten Hag continued to back him, likely trying to build his confidence. But with Amorim now at the helm, it's a fresh start. Players will know that nothing is guaranteed. No one has a guaranteed spot in the starting lineup or even on the bench. It will be interesting to see how Antony performs under Amorim, and he'll be aware that the rumors of him leaving will persist, especially with talk of the club looking to cut costs. Overall, Antony hasn't lived up to the hype at United, and for a $100 million signing, his performance has been far below average. He could go down as one of the worst signings in Premier League history. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing content. Let me know in the comments what topic you'd like to see next. See you in the next one.